So you want to get into filmmaking, but you don't have the money to get those big cameras that you see on those Netflix shows for behind the scenes shots, or Hollywood cameras, DSLR, mirrorless camera, and you just don't know how to get into filmmaking because you can't get a camera in the first place. Well, that's how I felt about 2 years ago until I picked up my iPhone 6s, and then everything changed. So today I'm going to show you why that phone in your pocket is the perfect beginner camera for filmmaking. The first reason as to why that camera in your pocket is the best beginner filmmaking camera is because you already have it. It means you don't have to spend another £1,000 on a DSLR or mirrorless camera, one of those top of the line ones, or a Blackmagic 4K, something like that. You already have the camera, so start learning with what you have and don't worry about what you don't have. You can create with any phone camera in the world, I promise you. I learned the hard way with an iPhone 6s, so I can assure you it's a good way to learn. And if you really want to move up into DSLR mirrorless world, you can just use the phone to learn about filmmaking in the meantime whilst you save up for that bigger camera. When I first got into filmmaking, one of the most exciting things about using this phone right here, and any phone that I had at my disposal, was that when it comes to cinematography, it doesn't matter what camera you have, you can learn about cinematography with anything, and I mean anything. So you can learn about framing, the rules of thirds, how you're going to position someone if they're walking in this direction. What does this mean if someone's really close in the center of the frame? What does it mean if they're kind of small in the corner of the frame? You can learn all of that with a phone. It doesn't matter what kind of camera you have or what kind of phone you have. Cinematography is exactly the same whether you're using a 30, 40, 50,000 pound camera or the camera that's in your pocket. So you really don't have any excuse not to learn about cinematography and filmmaking when you already have a perfectly good camera in your pocket. Another benefit for using your phone as a beginner's filmmaking camera is that there are editing apps all over the place on iOS and on Android. So it really doesn't matter whether you have no money or a bit of budget. You can use iMovie, for example, on iOS. That's completely free to use to learn the basics of editing. You've also got LumaFusion, which is a more advanced app, which is a one-off payment. And then you've got things like on a laptop, if you've got an advanced laptop or PC that can handle a more advanced software like DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro. I use the studio version of DaVinci Resolve. That way I can use all the stuff that's free, and it's very advanced, even the free version is. So the editing apps and the editing side of things you can do on your phone to a degree the same as you can do on any other camera. It's really about what you can afford, and it's something for everyone's budget. So the editing side of things really is much more accessible when you're using a phone, and it also gives you the option to then do it when you're on your travels. So you can edit on the bus, you can edit on the train, you can edit any way you want if it's on your phone. And that is a huge benefit. Now, one of my main concerns when I went into filmmaking is that even though I couldn't afford the big cameras and lenses, was if I could, where would I put them? I don't have a van or a car to transport loads of equipment, that kind of thing. But when it came to smartphone filmmaking as a beginner, I started to learn that actually that wasn't going to be an issue in smartphone filmmaking. The lenses in the classes that I help teach are really big. They go on like the Blackmagic cinema cameras and the larger camera makes that they use. Whereas the lenses that I have for smartphone filmmaking, this is the pouch that carries my telephoto lens, for example, by Moment. That is the size of the lens that I use. You can learn about the lenses much cheaper in a much easier and more convenient way. You've got the 58mm telephoto lens by Moment. And look how small these lenses are. They're so convenient to carry. Just chuck them in your pocket and you can get going straight away. And of course, how can I forget the 1.33 times anamorphic lens as well by Moment. So this is my iPhone 12 phone case by Moment. It has the bayonet attachments. That is all you need, plus a microphone to go out and make a film. Super easy to carry, super lightweight, and really durable as well. I've got a octopus tripod, which you can see right here. And today for this video, that's all I'm using to film this video with. It's my phone, iPhone 12, this tripod, octopus tripod, and I'm using the Rode Wireless Go, which is under the jumper here. So the fact that you don't need loads of gear and heavy gear to lug around as well is a massive benefit. And where I teach smartphone filmmaking, there's a guy who also teaches with larger cameras, cinema cameras. And I have to tell you, some of the cases that those lenses come in and that the cameras come in are massive and heavy and chunky. They need to be to protect those expensive pieces of equipment. You don't get that with smartphone filmmaking. I can carry an ND filter in my pocket, I can carry a microphone in my pocket, my phone in my pocket. If I've got a rucksack like I've got on now, I can put just about anything I need in there, and that's all I ever really need to make a film and start filmmaking with a phone. One of the things that I loved when I first got into smartphone filmmaking as a beginner is that I can use it anywhere, anytime. You always have your phone with you, no matter where you are in the world. So if you see something you like, take a shot, practice, learn your filmmaking, learn your cinematography, learn about the settings. Wherever you are, you can take that phone out with you and you can practice shooting anything at any time. And it really is the funnest way to learn, because it means if you see a moment that you really want to capture, pull your phone out. You can't do that with a big, DSLR mirrorless camera. You're not going to have that in your pocket. But with a phone, you can just pull it out, bang, and start filming stuff wherever you are. And being able to learn on the fly like that is a really, really fun way to learn about filmmaking, and you can only do that with a phone. One of the best things about learning filmmaking on your phone is that when you're out and about and making your first short films with your phone, no one suspects at all that you are making a film unless you have some massive gimbal set up. When I made Anxiety Train, my latest short film, there is no way I would have made that film, been able to, if I was using a big DSLR or mirrorless camera setup on a gimbal. People would have suspected that I was making a film and start asking questions. Security would have stopped me from filming in a number of locations that I shot in for Anxiety Train. People who were just passing by in the public would have asked me what I was filming with the actors. It would have been an absolute nightmare, and I just would not have been able to make that film, Anxiety Train, whatsoever. But using a phone, you can get away with it, and you don't have people walking past asking, "What you're filming? What's this for then?" This coming out of my taxes, is it? My taxes. We're making a film at no cost to you, Karen, so calm down. You can just enjoy filmmaking, you've got your phone, no one suspects anything. Get your film done, use your phone. It's much simpler and you can get to film anywhere. Small disclosure, I'm not telling everyone to go filming anywhere. I'm just saying it's a lot easier to film different locations publicly with a phone than a bigger camera. One of the most exciting aspects of smartphone filmmaking as a beginner for me was that you can get truly creative with your camera angles. Now, of course, you can do that with a mirrorless camera, DSLR, that are slightly larger. With a phone, because it's so thin and it's so light, you can really place it just about anywhere and get really unique POV shots. You can tape it to the ceiling and have someone with a bird's eye view walking underneath the camera. You can get nice worm's eye view shots from the ground up, looking at someone walking past. It's much easier to do it with a smartphone. You can angle it nicely. There's just many ways when it comes to creative shots that are just a little bit easier when you're using a smartphone, and you can use it for just about any kind of shot. And that is really exciting. With all these benefits and things that you can get from using a phone as a beginner camera, is that it gives you a sense of freedom that you just wouldn't get with other cameras if you haven't got the money to get them. So if I was waiting to get £1,000 to buy a Blackmagic Cinema Pocket 4K Gizmo Cinematic blah blah blah, I wouldn't be filmmaking now. I wouldn't have filmmaker for the last 2 years. I wouldn't have created anything on a camera. But because smartphones and the ability to use apps that are pretty affordable, editing suites and softwares and apps that are very affordable or even free in some cases, it's given me a freedom to tell my stories and explore art and even my acting at times in a way that I just wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So grab that phone in your pocket, go out and make a film, start learning about storytelling, filmmaking. You can even start acting in your own films, you know, and just enjoy using what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have, because sometimes we can get tied up in not having enough money to get this accessory, that accessory. What you have already is enough to start. So start with what you have now. Don't wait till you got the perfect time. No such thing as a perfect time. Nearly tripped up there. That'd have been ironic. So pick up your phone, go outside and start shooting. And by the way, if you want to learn about the latest on Filmic Pro and what they're doing with their pricing structure, then check out the video that's on the screen right now.